Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. We are out here again at the Kawaii Potato Station. We're planning on moving a few things around as of the last time we were out here, namely the Earth-Chan observation module, cupola, and the fuel tank, into maybe a more linear solution, something that doesn't tie up or uh, obstruct, that's the word I'm looking for, our docking ports for our cargo ferrying vessels. But the very first step is to detach the shuttle itself. They will be disembarking. They have dropped off everything that they need to drop off, and we'll just go spend about 10 days in orbit or so, 12 days I think, before making their return to Cape Canaveral. So we'll switch over to the automated Earth-Chan observation cupola. And I was planning on putting it at the very end of the station, but I feel like that ties up a useful docking port. So we're just going to dock it here on this short port until we can come up with a better solution, or until we can reorganize the docking ports into a better orientation, perhaps. But a lot of that will depend on getting that fuel tank detached from there and attached into another location. So slowly we'll just inch it into place. This is all sped up footage, of course, but we will switch over to real time because I'm extra proud of this one. Now that I can comment on it in retrospect, especially using just the nav ball for alignment. But anyway, here's old me. All right, almost lined up. I'm just trying to go by the man. I can never tell the orientation, even when I look at the nav ball, and I know left is left never left, it's always right or down. Either way. Alright, almost on there. Tap. Nope. Yep, okay. Yeah, that's the direction I'm looking for. Alright, and let's just ease this on in. Gently, gently, gently. Oh, did we start drifting off? No, we're actually going to slide right on in there, just as we need to. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Holy crap. That was like the best docking I've ever done. Oh, awesome. Not even a bounce. No rest for the wicked, though. It is swiftly back to work as we need to move our primary fuel tank. Initially, I was planning on putting on one of these side ports here at near the crew habitation module, but I think for docking clearance reasons, it's probably going to have to go back on the off end with the solar panels, which is less than ideal. And maybe we'll switch it and the solar panels at some point in the future. Um, eh. I'm so over off-axis docking, but I decided we should just be nice and patient with this. We'll just make sure that we don't actually clip off any of those solar panels. A little bit of buck and yaw. We are a little off balance. I decided we should probably try to pump fuel into the tug itself and see if that doesn't help alleviate some of the control issues. Spoiler, it doesn't. I probably should have pumped fuel the opposite way, perhaps. I think there's more distance between the thrusters than our mass will really accommodate. But if you take it nice and slow and just kind of ease it back, operate on one axis at a time, it's very doable. Of course, it's not going to be something as light and frisky and maneuverable as the observation cupola there, but I think we can still manage. So we'll just figure out what direction is what and get ourselves spun around so that our intended docking port is at least orientated correctly. Somewhat. We'll be off angle a little bit, but it does tend to buck a little bit, trying to get it over on off to the side, but trying very hard to keep alignment while sliding ourselves into position. View right across the bow of this station, and we can try to go ahead and get ourselves lined up. May have overdone it just a little bit, and we're going to ease ourselves back a little bit because we do need to adjust for this angle. Doesn't really like that so much, but yep, a little altitude gain, I guess. It's hard to tell what direction is what, especially here in post. Maybe it's left or up. all directions are relative when you are in orbit to whatever point you choose to orient yourself with. So just a little bit off angle, but that should be something that we might be able to correct for at the 11th hour. There's a little bit of a nudge, nothing too bad, and then it's just magnets. How do those work? Docked. Almost? Not quite. Not now we're docked. There we go. Just a little bit off angle, but that's going to do it. This is our station for now. I think maybe we'll rearrange the docking ports at some point. Now is not that time, however. We do have a couple of days to spend in orbit while we are clearing this contract. 11 days and 22 hours at this point, to be specific. So we'll just time warp a bunch at the fastest rate we can, which is not nearly fast enough, even here in super speddy uppy mode. The crew has their faithful Nintendo DS that has been in service with the space program since like 1956. So they're well entertained. I'm sure they've got lots of science or card games to play, or just getting used to all the zero-G. Everyone's going to get their trip to Mars, or maybe even to spend a couple of years in orbit of Venus, because that's what we're ramping crew up for. Of course, everyone has to do at least one tour on the moon before they can get dispatched anywhere. I would prefer greatly not to send level 0 or level 1 scientists and engineers and pilots to do anything. But now it is time to plot our deorbit maneuver, and I think I actually have a deorbit plan for the SKS almost dialed in. Basically, if we can set the periapsis right above Cape Canaveral, or right around Cape Canaveral, at the time of the deorbit maneuver, it will be shifted back closer to Texas/Mexico/ the Gulf by the time we actually get around to deorbiting. And then that should give us enough time in the atmosphere to slow down and glide to a runway landing. Every craft is different, and every approach is different, especially when the mass is kind of a variable. This is actually going to be the lightest SKS we've ever brought home. It is by no means anywhere close to empty of fuel, but it is bringing back far less aerosine and nitrogen tetroxide than any other SKS shuttle flight ever. It's not like the old Shurikens that pretty much had to come down empty with just enough fuel to operate the thrusters through the upper atmosphere. And then land completely empty, but they actually had a relatively similar glide slope at this kind of mass, I guess. I would have plotted a similar course for an old Mark V Shuriken, I guess is the point I'm trying to get at slowly. But we are around to our node. We'll light those 4 AJ-10s and bring our periapsis down to 50 some odd kilometer, which is a little higher than what I would set it for a Shuriken flight, which, I don't know, I think that was like 38 or something. But the downrange is about the same. Anyway, we will empty fuel out of our 2 engine nacelle pods into something a little more central. We will be doing the grand balancing act of sloshing fuel around to keep the center of mass where we want it to, and we'll go ahead and bring up atmospheric autopilot and set our angle of attack to about 20 degrees and hope it fares out better for us this time. I'm going to leave the rest of the controls on. We should, I have it on good authority, have decent control for the whole ride. Here's hoping. Anyway, but we're about to hit Atmo, so we should probably get pointing at least somewhat in the right direction. Just a little bit of a lateral spin. We'll try to bring ourselves at least above that prograde vector, somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees, at least initially. Won't need the autopilot for at least a few minutes, but we'll probably need to not be pointing straight up. Not even remotely stable at that angle. But so far, our entry angle looks good. Our periapsis looks good. We will probably have to deflect north just a little bit, hopefully to stay on course and hit a runway in one fell swoop. Now that I've done it once, I feel like it has to be the standard. So I feel like, at least with this craft, every attempt has to be at least somewhat good. On the runway would be great. That's all I'm really getting at. All right, atmospheric autopilot has been activated. We are officially deorbited, and it has nosed us down for whatever reason, but has decided this is the angle that we need to fly at, and this is what's going to happen. And we're just going to run with it, because I think we do need some of the cross range. Starting to get heat warnings on a pair of those thrusters there. And well, you know, things tend to get very suddenly interesting. So we'll make a small adjustment here to our atmospheric autopilot before closing the window, and well, I'll just turn you over to old me. Alright, looks like we're still solid. I would like more angle. Craft settings, AOA. Alright, 30. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! What? Okay, off. Oh, what the hell? Oh, do not burn up that. Come on. Nose up. Nose up. Nope. Come on. Okay. Alright, we did not lose an engine. Jesus, that's what it did to me last time, too. Oh, okay. You know what? I think we're just gonna take this home the rest of the way hands-on. Sorry, atmospheric autopilot, no disrespect. Jesus, that almost gave me a heart attack. And yeah, now here in retrospect, I see exactly what I did. I forgot to hit enter, and so it zeroed out the AOA. And I don't know why that wouldn't put me just right down the prograde vector instead of at a 0 degree. Or at, you know, because that's 0 degrees of angle of attack instead of 30 degrees of angle of attack, which I thought was relative to your prograde vector, not 0 degrees point your nose straight at the dirt. I could be wrong. Alright, but in order to help keep that nose up, we'll push some fuel to the aft tank, making our butt a little heavier so that we can pitch up a whole bunch more. That's going to increase our drag and by converting speed into lift, I guess, and take us right over the Gulf of California here and on into Mexico, crossing then shortly into Texas. On our approach, current speed about 6.2 kilometers per second. That's all on, that's right down the middle. That's right about where we want to be. We could actually stand to be a little bit faster because we can always bleed off speed with S-turns later on. We're still a little too high up. Current altitude, actual 73 kilometers, so we are still pretty way up there in the atmosphere. Not that we're tracing sonic booms across the ground or anything like that yet, but able to maintain a 35-degree pitch angle with little to no input from me. I think this was mostly just SAS handling the flight all on its own. You can see it's probably got about 5-10 degrees of pitch. Of course, when you come out of physics warp, it does weird things. But we do need to bank north, and we do need to bank north quite a bit, or at least that was my perception of the lines on the map, which I just assumed to be kind of even with our trace from the base station. Seeing as how I didn't really think that we would have much deflection yet. Which the nav ball isn't really good at telling you how much you've deflected because, you know, the Earth's rotating, so your relative angle near any of that will change here and there just a bit. Heat warnings on some thrusters, no big deal. They're not really supposed to burn off, but if we have to lose some on the way down, I'd rather it be those than almost anything else. There's some struts that are, of course, designed to be ablative even from inside the cargo bay, and those are going up currently. Poof, there it is. Just a quick double check to make sure that's what we lost. I mean, there's really nothing else in the cargo bay that's mission critical, so why not? And now that we're down to below 60 kilometers, we can actually start banking for real and trying to deflect our angle north to put us on a runway. I was still looking at the ground track from the space station and not our actual track. I'm going way too far north now by like a lot. So we'll actually just ride it straight for a little bit and then try to bank ourselves south by just a little bit. I'm actually worried a bit about our speed at this point. We're down to 3.5 kilometers per second, and we're just crossing over parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. I don't know if we start to bank seriously enough to get to the runway, if we'll actually have enough speed to get there. which, yeah, my mistake, but we can't actually just really pour our nose into it. If we get our deflection good now, we can actually bring our nose down and use that to help maintain speed as we eventually cross the Gulf of Mexico and head on into Florida proper. But we will be a lot slower by the time we get there. Trying to keep a little bit of altitude here. Getting too low actually means more drag, which means you slow down faster. So trying to find that nice, easy, perfect glide slope. And I don't know what this wiggle is all about. She just likes to dance. Sometimes you just have to dance. Anyway, we are about to cross into Florida, 1.7 kilometers per second, and we're have shifted some fuel forward to see if we can't get a little nose-in stability. That's going to give us a little more maneuverability, a little more authority in our turning and in our actions, but it is going to be a little bit more work to keep the nose up. That's fine. We got plenty of control surface area and some thrusters to help us out for when it just doesn't quite work. And with the aid of physics warp, we are certainly over land now. So even a ditch landing, the crew doesn't have to swim, which is good. We can put those wheels to their intended use. We're going to push a little bit of the fuel to the back, actually most of the fuel to the back, because really we don't need to turn anymore. We just need to maintain pitch angle. So we're trying to find that weight balance that kind of works for us, but with our nose down, we are subsonic now, and we are searching for a runway. We should be able to see it by now, but of course, nice cloudy day makes things a little bit more difficult, but eventually you'll actually be able to see it coming up here in just a few seconds. Once we clear that next little batch of clouds, I like how you can actually see the clouds on the map. It does help kind of isolate where things are. And yeah, we're still coming in way north. So bank it into the south, trade in some of that speed, and there you can finally see the runway almost near the top center of the screen right about now. I hope you can see it well enough. But anyway, you'll be able to see it real good here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to turn you over to old me for final approach. 275 meters per second. Ooh, 2 kilometers. We're actually pretty fast. With the pitch down angle to hit the runway from this distance, we're actually going to pick up speed all the way to the point when we put our tires down. So we're going to do some of these banking turns and try to bleed off some speed as best we can. Although, of course, the more altitude we lose, which is inevitable, 1.5 kilometers off the deck. And this would be one hell of a sight to see from whatever these landing or these airfields are. This big old bird doing these 90-degree bank super turns on final approach with no fly past. All right, gear down and locked. I probably should have mentioned that. Whoa, that was okay. Everybody's all right. Pegged out the G's a little bit. 164 kilometer. No, because we're still going to pick up speed if we make it straight. Oh god, we need to get lined up. I don't think we'll have time to recover from another set of turns, so line it up. Oh, a little too much. Dang it. Alright, bring it back. Come on, Alice. You're an ace. You can do this. Ooh. Too low. Bring it up. 135 meter per second. This is actually okay landing speed. Alright. Bring it on home. Ah, she turned so slowly. Alright. We'll just try to bring it in, and then we'll just side slip the tails. You know, turn it with the accelerator, something like that. Turn it butt first. 126, 165 meter altitude. Oh man, we might have, yeah, I mean we got a couple more meters per second of speed to shed before stall. 50 meters. Oh, come on, make it brilliant. Oh, too fast. Oh, bounce, come on. Now you get lift at 118. Come on, Alice, put it down. Oh, on the runway maybe. Okay, we're on the hill. Brakes. Friction control. Crank it. Slow down, slow. Oh, okay. Nope. Oh, there's a bounce. Another 5 meters off the ground. I guess somebody's replacing those struts, right? Whew. Alright. Stopped. Down. Brakes locked. Solid. Almost on the runway. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do appreciate it. And I'll see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.